Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk with Tiff. Here we are again, another episode. I'm really excited to be here, so I want to thank you all for taking the time to jump back in, to connect with me, and let's talk. What's the topic today, right? So today, here it is. I want to help you guys understand and bring to the forefront of your mind, right? Okay, the difference between thinking, thought, and clarity. What are they? Where do they come from? What's initiating it? These are things we need to talk about, people, because see, thought, thinking, and clarity are such a big part of our life, of our human function. So let's break it down. Thinking is happening very intentionally. Okay, it is my belief that as humans, this is where we are in control of our mind. When you want to intentionally think about something, you are capable of doing that. We've been designed that way. Okay? I'll give you an example. This is just a light example. You can intentionally think about getting a new job. If you're looking for new employment, you can intentionally put your focus and your mind around getting a new job, right? That's very light one. Now let's talk about thought. So thoughts, you guys, thoughts happen for us. They are coming from the unconscious. We have, I think, like over 70,000 thoughts a day that we are completely unaware of that are just happening. Thought, if you really pause and step back and start to look at your thoughts from the perspective of being the watcher and being the observer, you will catch them. Okay, they're just happening all of the time. And thoughts are coming from a deep force within the mind. And sometimes I want to point it out now. Now, here's where I'm going to help you point this out and really see it for yourself. So thoughts coming from this force deep within the mind, you may feel sometimes like there is a constant obsession, right? Over some area, some person, some topic, some situation. You just can't seem to let it go, right? That happens. That's coming from somewhere, okay? It's almost like a grip is on you, a hold, a force. And the mind is functioning on its own and it's ruminating. It's rapid rumination over one subject, one thing, one person, one situation. And typically it's probably going to be around something you can't control. Okay? That's what I have found. So that's a force deep within the mind, the unconscious, and it's happening for you. And it comes typically a lot in the form of an obsession or a worry or a stress or a burden, all of that. And now there's clarity, you guys. So clarity is the most beautiful, and clarity is spiritual. That's coming from God. See, God doesn't really speak to us necessarily in thought. It's not coming in thought because God is matter of fact. He is an absolute, and capital is I-S, God's word. And when God speaks and when God gives you, direction and guidance, it is clarity. You're going to step into clarity. It just sits in a category of its own. So being able to differentiate between thinking, which is done by you can be very intentional. Then we have thought, which is done by you know who, the motherfucker, that's right. And then we have clarity, which is given to us as a gift from spirit. The more connected you are with spirit and God, the more clarity that's really going to be offered to you. So this is why it's so important to do spiritual disciplines which I help people with. And, I'll name a few off the top of my head right here. When I am working with another person, a few of the disciplines and practices that I encourage in my work, of course, you guys probably can already name it: pray. We have to pray. We have to meditate. We need to move our body. Writing is really important because, see, let me help you guys understand this too. When you spend time writing is a transfer of energy. Okay, because it's happening all up here in the mind. And sometimes our mind, it can be so powerful and have such a grip on us that we can sit there and obsess and worry about something or someone over and over again, that we need to move things around. And a way to do that is to sit down, pray, and release through writing. So you can take whatever the rumination is, the rapid thought that has a hold on you, and you can release it through your writing onto a paper, and you can actually see what is happening in the mind. So writing is an excellent tool that I encourage. And of course, I believe I said this, body movement. I think I said this, but if I didn't, body movement. These are all things that are going to help us in our spiritual disciplines to be able to make room and receive from Spirit clarity. So, next time you're facing a situation or something's coming up for you, because it's coming, that's happening. Really take a moment to figure out, is this something, thinking a lot of the time too, it can be more of the logical side of you. Are you even, because we have a choice, people. We can sit around and think, use our mind to work it out logically. Or the mind will just take over and you're now in a state of emotion. You're emotionally thinking, right? And a lot of the time when we fall into that space, we're really not thinking at all. We're just reacting. So, being able to separate those two, it's very important. And then, of course, getting into that clarity. And something that I know, about Spirit, about God, is that if there's an area that you're struggling with and you really need clarity around it. I mean, that's what we want ultimately, right? Is to just have clarity, to have direction. That's what clarity is. Clarity is direction. Clarity is guidance. Clarity is going to put you on the right path. So, next time something comes up for you, you really got to get quiet and spend that time with God and asking Him, praying on it for Him to deliver you the clarity. And He will. That's the most loving thing about God, is that He wants to be a part of your everyday life. He cares about all of the decisions that you're making. Everything that you have to, decide for your day, for your life, big or small, God cares and He wants to be all wrapped up in that. So, it's important to connect with Him and ask Him for that clarity, and He will deliver. Thinking and thoughts sometimes can paralyze us, and they don't necessarily, lead us down the best path. I think they can get us into a lot of suffering, in fact. Thoughts are very powerful, you guys. I know I don't even need to explain that, because I know people, they understand that, because we can come into a situation in our life and it almost feels debilitating. It just takes over. It can. So, all we want to do is have clarity and figure it out. So I have found that the best way to do that is by connecting with God and praying on it and asking Him to deliver you the clarity so you can move in a direction, and sometimes, I have found that when people pray and they ask for clarity to move in a direction, there's what we think we want, what we know is best, but what we know is best is not really always best. And sometimes we may not like what path and like God is pushing us towards. Like we might feel like, oh no, that's uncomfortable. I can't do that. No, right? We might feel like that inside. And, don't be surprised if that comes up for you, because I know that God puts us in uncomfortable situations sometimes to help us grow. If we stay complacent and comfortable, there's really no growth in that. And God is like all about growth. And he's going to put us in situations that are going to test us and that are going to pull our greatness out of us, to get, and that's how we get the clarity. It's like, oh my goodness, like I didn't even realize that I could walk through that. I didn't think I was strong enough. And, and then God gives us the clarity and we see, what is that? They call that like hindsight 2020 vision. And you just see it. You see it for what it is. There's been many times where, in my life, God has delivered me clarity, and like, next month I'm celebrating 3 years sober from drugs and alcohol. And, every time I have gotten sober, this isn't my first rodeo with sobriety. I've tried it again and again and again. And like, I think I added it up the other day. It was like a total of like just over 8 years of doing this. But this next month that's coming up, I will take 3 consecutive. And God gave me that clarity. I am able to see who I am in active addiction because he gave it to me. You see, we don't, and I can say this, and I know if you are someone out there that struggles with drug addiction or alcoholism, or any kind of addiction, in fact, we don't see ourselves when we are in it. And, I don't really even think it takes drug addiction or alcoholism to not see ourselves. I feel like that's what the human mind does. Actually, no, that's what the motherfucker does. He does that. It does that. The unconscious does that. And, I do believe that we have a veil of denial in our mind. And that's in part how it controls us. As long as we cannot see ourselves, well, then there's no problem. Hello. And that was one of my big problems in addiction. I did not see myself. I didn't see my behavior. I didn't see my attitude. I didn't see how I was, how I thought. I did not pay attention to any of these things, how I behaved, my belief system. I didn't really even have one. I actually believed in all my fear. And it is because of God, he gave me that clarity. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I never would have seen myself and who I was and how I acted and how many people I hurt along the way if it weren't for him, and God gave me that. And so I'm so grateful for that. And like, that's just one thing in my life that he's done for me, having clarity. And, I didn't get that thinking, I'll tell you that. And I definitely didn't get that in thought. That came from a very spiritual experience of clarity. And, that's my prayer for all of you. I hope that God delivers clarity to all people that are watching this and that, are going through something in their life. I really pray that for you right now. He is the one that can bring it. So you got to believe. Faith is very important. And he will do it. So that's it, guys. Just wanted to kind of touch on that, give you a little perspective on, thinking, thought, and clarity. So next time you have, probably even today, it's going to happen. Choking over here. Even today, it'll happen, right? Like something's going to go down, and big or small, and like, we can like be in thought, which will lead us down a path of basically being unconscious. That's not conscious. We can go down a logical path and try and look at it logically by thinking about it, or We can pray and we can, ask God to help deliver us the clarity. And you will know, because God always delivers, and he's going to put it right in here in the heart. Okay. So pay attention, guys. That's my prayer for you. And I thank you so much for listening. Thank you.